in time next week.
All right. Happy 420 or 419. I'm a little confused. I have two clocks in front of me. But either way, I know it is Friday and it is the Cannabis Hour, and that means it is time to hang out with Cynthia Brewer. I'm Jodi James, president of Florida Cannabis Action Network. Thrilled to be here with Elevated Intel with Cynthia Brewer. Hi, Cynthia.
Hi, Jodi. How are you?
I am caffeinated.
Good. We just got done talking about how Tallahassee should come with coffee whenever you get into town because
Absolutely.
I don't know, it just drains the life out of you, doesn't it?
Well, certainly, you have to really, really dig a good fight. So I congratulated
Big
Senator,
fight.
a good fight. I congratulated Senator Garcia for being willing to put on her waders and really get in the mud. Because some of the issues that we deal with up here are really, really complicated and they're
Mhm.
really, really complex and they impact, 22 million people's lives and the 16th largest economy in the nation. So, yeah, there's a little bit of mucking going on and it's a little bit of tough, and caffeinated is good.
So you think Garcia, did you do any more thinking while you've been up there, just like making the rounds?
We've been making the rounds.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely making the rounds. For those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, Cynthia had something she wanted to tell you.
Oh, yes, this is necessary and this is obscene, but it's necessary because we can't keep getting kicked off of Facebook for technicality. So, this is actually to Facebook. So, our first and only elevated intel disclaimer. Elevated intel is intended for adult audiences only because I use the F word too much and Jodi tries to wrangle me in. The content is informational and educational. Okay. We are
Maybe
not giving
entertaining.
legal advice. We are not giving medical advice. You probably shouldn't be listening to us about anything except for the most content that's up to date and entertaining as you want to be. So we do not promote or encourage underage participation in illicit activities. That's what I'm going to say. I'm not going to get specific. And make sure you follow the rules in your jurisdictions and be nice to one another and tip your waiters. There you go. That's what I'm
Is that
going to
our
do.
disclaimer?
But for
Excellent.
now, until we can have something drafted by ChatGPT that's a little bit more eloquent and also just put up on the screen so we don't have to say it.
There
But
you go.
like listen at your own risk.
I that's kind of breathe at your own risk
Or like
if you live in the United
don't
States,
listen if
right?
you have a heart condition.
Oh no.
Or if
That's
you're
no.
this tall, you can't ride this ride. Whatever, all of those things, all those warnings,
However that works.
I'm gonna put all of them on the screen. Every single one.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough. For those of you who are just tuning in, thanks for being here. Be sure to like and share and all those things that you do on your social media so that other people can find out all of the information they need to know. Cannabis Action Network remains in Tallahassee doing legislative watch, thanks to generous donations from our sponsors and making sure that we can be here in Tallahassee. So I'm coming to you from Tallahassee. Cynthia is at home base in
In
Brevard County.
Hepatitisville, yes. Just
There you go.
representing the great city of Hepatitisville. It's actually really pretty here. And I know, obviously, we're both up there together, and the weather was kind of nice up there too. So, at least you're lucky that it's not like snowing like last time.
Yeah. Now, want to welcome some new members this week.
Okay, right on.
We are a statewide organization. So this has been a really fun week for us. We have two members from the Jacksonville area. I'm going to say hi to Jimmy. One of them is not really a new member. He actually co-founded our organization 28 years ago. So welcome back, Scott Bledsoe.
And Scott pays dues.
Scott
We make him pay.
dues, man.
Thanks, Scott, for your thank you for founding and then also, reconnecting. We appreciate you. You
Glad
are
to
a
have
valued
Scott back.
member. And
100%.
who is Jimmy? And why do you get quotation?
We'll find out. We're gonna get to
Oh,
know Jimmy more. He's a brand new member from
so
Jacksonville area,
mysterious.
so we'll get to know him more. We also have a new member, David, in St. Pete that we'll be looking forward to getting to know. And Aiden, who has been doing some work here in Tallahassee, has Matt Moses says hello.
We do have a hello
Member
from Matt Mo.
from Fort Myers.
Fort Myers. You got it.
Fort Myers, member from Fort Myers. So if you're out there listening and you know someone anywhere in the state of Florida, we have members from Pensacola to Key West, and we would love to include you in it. Our members are doing a lot of really great things locally. So the more members we have in a certain area, the better the local scene can be. And we really want to encourage that.
We're going to need to stop doing this.
You don't like that? You don't like
I
that?
love this, and your OnlyFans page is going to love this, but like, it's a real scene. It's not quotations. I think it's adorable, but it's so distracting to me.
Yeah.
I think you're right though. More members, more reach, more participation in individual counties, because when session's over, that's where we go, right?
Yeah, and there's still, because that's where things are happening is locally. 100%.
You're not off the
You
hook
know,
after session.
No, not by any stretch. And, I had an excellent opportunity right before this call to talk to Alex Johnson from Jacksonville. She's one of our leadership team and a business member, talking about ways that she can increase her reach with her business. I'm not the only person that does some business consulting within the organization. And so being able to help each other raise up our own personal brand, I think doesn't hurt anything.
Okay, so so we have got ourselves into a pickle with the comments because we give shout outs. Everybody deserves a shout out. Shout out. Go ahead. Just keep them going. I think it's great.
Well, and Susan, you know what? At the very top of my list is the project that Susan Stryker has helped put together. So those who don't know Susan, works with the Relief Clinic in Florida. I believe 9 locations. They're really hard to keep up with. Susan serves as their COO, and her passion project is GI Green, where they raise money to get the cards for veterans, right? So we have several organizations. Our featured business member of the year or of the month is actually the Grateful Veterans, who is serving a similar population as GI Green. And so if you're raising money every day to do veterans cards, veterans taking that card down to $15, which is the bill we have on the hook, is pretty important. So Susan and GI Green with the Relief Clinic and Cure Leaf have gotten together, and they are organizing a rally in Tallahassee on Tuesday. So I probably will rally and tally. I will probably say that again. So 12 noon on the Senate patio is where you'll start seeing things and people. So you were up here this week.
Yes.
And so please talk about the veteran bill, and then we'll get into why Tuesday.
So for anybody that, I feel bad, and I want to apologize to start off, because sometimes I will talk about things and I will automatically, as Jodi knows, I will go into legislative language like mode, and I kind of forget that not everybody is obsessively digging through this stuff like I am, and some people just know regular words, and I'm cool with that. I only know a few very fancy words, but I'm really sorry if I didn't make it easy to understand on some of the stuff. So I tried to do like a map this time, so I could make it, a little bit easier for people to understand, because it gets confusing at this point in the process.
100%.
Right. So right now, HB 887, which has a sponsor who is the most eloquent and classy broad I've ever had the pleasure of working alongside, Susan Valdez. And she is the champion, I would say, of this year's legislative session. By sponsoring this language, we got additional co-sponsors that have decided to add their names on in support, even after the bill had made it and passed the floor on Wednesday, which we were all in attendance for. Matt, Grateful Veteran, Jodi, Susan, myself. And so the part of the process that gets very confusing is what happens now, because this is where we get a lot of news misinformation, which I've been reading through on Marijuana Politics, Politico, and Marijuana Moment, even where they're celebrating prematurely, like last year. Veterans are going to have discounted cards. Everybody should be, and then people start to celebrate. They start to get hopeful, and the process isn't done last year.
When do I get my card?
Yeah, where's my card? Yeah, and it makes sense because they heard it and they read it, and so why wouldn't they think it was true? They don't follow it like we do. So, but it's not completely done. We have hit big milestones by having it read for the second and third time and voted on in the House during session on Wednesday, which we were there for, and it was a big deal. But now it has to go over to the Senate, because you can't just have one side that wants to change the law and be awesome. You have to have people that agree on the other side. So since Wednesday, HB 887 is what we're going to consider the Veterans Bill, because she's the one who won by making it through her committee stops fastest. So she's the winner. She's the champion. HB 887 has to have something to match up to in the Senate. So we had two pieces of language in the Senate. One had some traction, one had no attention whatsoever. And so it has gone over in what they call messages, which is little cute little notes that the House will write to the senators and be like, "Dear senators, circle yes or no if you like me." And then they have accepted the message, which is good, because sometimes they will ignore messages or not acknowledge them, and they have accepted it. And now it is in the Rules Committee. Now, what is the Rules Committee? Well, that's such a great question. And that's a really, really good question, actually. I needed to understand Rules Committee because I didn't understand the relevance of it. The members of the Rules Committee, I'm thrilled to know that I have touched or been in the office or talked to their aide, about 85% of them. So from CAC, from visiting the Capitol, the Grateful Veteran, they went a lot more frequently than I did. I know they're card takers, which is great. So they get to collect that card, follow up with people. Those individuals will be the ones that determine and will decide which bills get to go in front of the senators to be heard. So this is where things could go really, really wrong. And this is where you don't want to get your hopes up. They call it, oh my gosh, I'm going to do it. They call the Rules Committee the Gatekeepers. There you go.
There you go.
Touche.
It happens.
They schedule the floor action. They are one of the most powerful committees. Okay. And this is both in Washington and here in Florida. They have the authority to do virtually anything they would like to during the course of consideration of a measure, including deeming it as passed or editing it in a self-execution amendment, which would rewrite part of the bill. They can, I want to say swing dicks, because that they can do whatever they want. And they have the right to. They don't have I know, I'm sorry, but it's the best way to describe this. They can do whatever they want to with this bill, and they can ignore it, and they can let it die a horrible death at the 11th hour. However, 85% of the people on that committee have been touched in a special way by Cynthia and her friends. So I hope.
Well, and my guess is 100% of them, because remember, the action has also, in addition to the work that we've been doing as Florida Cannabis Action Network and what the Grateful Veterans have been doing, we've also had an impact from GI Green. They've spent several weeks up here.
I can guarantee they probably did not touch Broder because he hasn't been there, but I know his aide, and he's an extra special man. And he printed some stuff for me and was very complimentary. And then Pizzo, I didn't have time to meet with him, but he did take a compliment through his aide and was grateful. So I don't count that as a touch point.
We've touched Pizzo.
You touched Pizzo? You're a Pizzo toucher?
I'll tell you what, he is one of, I'm going to miss Senator Pizzo.
He's entertaining. He is
great. Representative Gottlieb, both South Florida guys that have been here for more than a second.
Smoking hot wife.
Yeah, okay.
Gottlieb,
Gottlieb,
smoking
oh
hot
yeah,
white.
100%, 100%. Um, Tara asked what day the rally in Tallahassee was, and you had asked why Tuesday.
Yes.
So everything that Cynthia said was accurate, but here's where it gets messy. He who knows the rules, uh, does one of two things. They either play by the rules or they work the loopholes, right? So, as in anything else, there are loopholes. One of the reasons that a bill was amended 3 weeks ago was so that there would be a vehicle that looked the same. And there is a rule that says that if something has been heard once in committee, that it can be picked up or it can be added to another bill that's moving. Either thing is possible. So we've been working behind the scenes to try to make sure that messages get picked up. And so there's one of two ways. I recognize that it says in rules.
Mhm.
Rules doesn't have to meet for it to go to the floor if they take it through messages. So if
It's
they
been
take it through,
received in messages
it's been
and then
received in
assigned to rules.
messages. 100%. And every bill that got heard on the floor today said that it was in rules that came from the House.
So they just skipped it. So
Correct.
a skip would be fine too, because
Well,
we have a lot of supportive senators.
and we probably won't see rules again. They have been working, and Steve says there's 16 folks watching, so thank you all very much for participating. You can view anything that you can pick up and see what we've talked about. Later on, it'll be available. The podcast will be available. It'll be available on Spotify and YouTube. Right now, we're talking about 887 and how the Veterans Bill becomes law and the impact that is going to happen on Tuesday. So the bill has left the House of Representatives and has been, and a little note, as she's so, you were
Pass,
adorable. I hope they
pass the
love you.
notes.
Pass the note in messages. The Senate has not started picking up messages from the House yet. They've been working entirely on their own bills.
Right. As they
So
would. And because we still have a
100%,
full week left and they're going to take care of their
100%.
own first, but they have received it.
100%.
And
They have
so,
received it. And the expectation is, we know it's not going to be on the calendar on Monday because we've already seen the calendar for Monday. Now, the calendar for Tuesday may be out, or they could wait until as late as Saturday night because of procedural rules. They don't
mhm.
have to have put out Tuesday's calendar. Our expectation is that there's going to be some bills that are in messages that are being sent over, and that's likely when it's going to get heard is Tuesday. So
So
GI Green
it's
took the initiative.
hopeful, but
Expectation
there's
is
no guarantee.
absolutely
So
no
just,
guarantee.
yeah, manage
And
expectations. Got it.
we're 100%, we're GI Green, working with, Cure Leaf and the Relief Clinic have pulled together some resources. They have, reserved some space there at the Capitol complex where, veterans can rally. They have set up
Inside or outside?
I believe everything is happening outside.
Okay.
I know Susan's watching. Susan, if that's not accurate, please correct me in the chat and Steve will make sure that we see it. Um, but I know they told me that some of the folks that have really worked hard over the last decade to make this happen, and really it was 6, 7 years, have been invited to speak. We're expecting to hear from Gary Stein. He's coming to Tallahassee. I understand Jimmy Johnson's going to be talking. Tanya Bailey, who has worked for a number of the different veterans organizations, really taken the lead on a number of issues for veterans. I have not confirmed that Jeff and the Grateful Veterans are going to be speaking, but I do know that they've been invited, and I know that Tara's on here, so maybe Tara can confirm that the Grateful Veterans are going to be included on the bill. I found out about it because I happened to be housemates with Tammy Long with Battle Buds this week, so she was up here helping us touch those last few senators. So yeah, rally and tally Tuesday. If it's not being heard Tuesday, certainly they still have a couple days. And I think that's the purpose of Tuesday, starting at noon till 4 o'clock. If you are a veteran, please come out. If you support the veterans, please come out. If you're planning on visiting senators' offices or going inside the building, wear your best. If you have a suit jacket, you should have a suit jacket on. If you're a woman, you should have a blazer or certainly Sunday best. It's
And
not
also
expensive
a
to go to TJ
plan,
Maxx.
a plan.
Well,
Because
if
you
you
don't want to be the person that's just roaming around the Senate offices asking for them to do things
100%.
without some sort of like direction or rubric to
But if you
carry with.
come dressed for success,
Yes.
there are going to be enough of us that we can walk you through.
Yes. Just don't go
Alex
rogue.
Johnson's hoping to get you right. You do not want to do this walk by yourself. But if you're not able to come in your Sunday best and dress for success, because that's not who you are, we need as many bodies as possible outside. So, don't not come.
So when
But
is the conference part? Like, is there media?
rally part. I believe they are expecting to do a press conference at some point during the noon to 4 p.m. But I know that really the vision is to give veterans an opportunity to tell their stories. I think it's going to be a great opportunity. I hope we have someone there who can tape it. I think it will be fabulous content on how access to safe legal medicine is impacting the lives of veterans. So I think it's going to be a really moving opportunity. I know that Tanya and Susan are certainly more than qualified to take groups and talk. We'll be there. All of our team is certainly qualified to help folks get into offices and tell their story briefly, right? Briefly tell your story. So we'll have people, so I think that I think that this has a little bit of something for everyone. Really excited about their rally and tally.
Bring the kids. There
Hey,
you go. Okay, so from
something
12
child
to
friendly.
4, but you don't know if there's media yet, and then whether people need to be aware if there is media and they want to be on television, decorum,
Dress
etc.
for success, dress for
And
success. Well,
don't start
expect,
screaming USA, you know, please.
well, it's better than something else that you could so I don't want to argue about
Actually have fun
screaming
with
at
it. Yeah, just
USA.
do you. Just do you.
But
And yes.
certainly pro-veteran signs would be welcome outside the building. Again, there's a place for everything in this. And the fact that they've got the patio outside gives someone who really wants to bring a sign that says do more for vets or medical marijuana saved my life. It's totally appropriate outside.
Bring a
Uh,
sign. I want to see the creativity within our industry and our veteran
100%.
community on sign
100%.
creation. Yes.
This is a great opportunity for the community to be seen. Cheers to Cureleaf for setting this up. I've always liked the idea in the women's suffrage movement, right? So
Mm.
this week I've studied stuff this week
You've been talking
actually.
suffrage for 3 weeks now, and I feel like you are on a suffrage at crusade, which I like. I think it's great.
Well, well, it was interesting because it's actually kind of social movements that I've been studying, right? Um, and social movement that moved to women having the right to vote and equality and all of these glass ceiling breaking things. There were tactics that they used. And so I've studied these things
Yeah.
because these are the tactics. But this week, uh,
Hunger strikes was one of them.
100%. But while that was going on outside, particularly in the women's suffrage movement, what was going on inside was people having dialogues, professional people in professional suits. And so I really like the HBO special that came out a few years ago. The name is escaping me right
I
now.
wrote it down, but I don't know where I put it.
Hilary
Yes.
Swank was
It's
in it.
something about iron.
Iron-jawed angels. Thank
Yes.
you very much. I have been talking about it for three
Nailed
weeks,
it.
but that's only because you're listening. And I appreciate that about you.
I'm who you're
But
talking to.
so there were really two factions of the women's suffrage movement. And there were the grassroots women who were outside, getting handcuffed and drug off to jail, the Hillary Swanks. And then there were these people who were meeting in the Oval Office. And interestingly enough, one of the women who was meeting in the Oval Office was the woman who led the social movement that caused alcohol prohibition and the passage of the 18th Amendment, Carrie Nation. So she was in the office to pass the 18th, in the passage, in the office to pass the 21st, and then lent her credibility to the next social movement.
Do we
So
like
we
her
need
if she
people
like was
outside.
responsible for alcohol prohibition, but also for the right for women to vote? I feel like she's on the fence with me. She
Well,
doesn't want the whiskey, but she wants the,
hey, you know, a lot of people are on the fence about me too.
like
So I want to
50% of
give
her
her,
mission
I
in
want to give
life
her,
is reasonable. The other 50%, maybe don't so much
uh,
agree with it. But
well,
yeah, no, I listened to a podcast recently because you told me about that movie where they force fed these women after they would take them off to jail during the suffrage movement, giant mug of coffee. And then they would like legit put tubes down their throats and force feed them when they were on a hunger strike. At the beginning, it would work, but then they would release them from jail. So they would eat real fast and then just pick them back up. But it was just crazy, unheard of what they did to these women. And all they wanted to do was like vote for things. Yeah. But
yeah.
I've also seen a comedian set up a booth that says stop women's suffrage and see a giant amount of the population sign it and until they realized exactly what suffrage meant. So
Well,
that was also that's also America. So
suffering. I want to end it. It'll be great.
I know you just
There's
stop
a
the
bunch of
suffrage.
things in this, and thank you, Susan, for the very nice compliments. We appreciate all the people who are working hard to move this issue forward. Relief Clinic is one of our business sponsors, and grateful for the help that they've given Florida Cannabis Action Network. What do we got? So, did you see the Trump administration on drug testing this week?
No, let's skip it. Let's go to the agriculture bill.
All right, let's talk about agriculture then. Yeah,
No,
I'm
go
open.
ahead. You tell me because I
So
don't really
it
have
is
much.
kind of, it is kind of important. Employee drug testing may very well be the issue that I'm looking for some support for, and by support I mean financial support for, as we move into the off session time. Summer recess is going to be happening in Congress, and the Trump administration has put out a memo to the Transportation Department that
Oh,
says,
I
you
saw
know,
that one. Yeah.
despite legalization, despite the availability of CBD, there's still going to be drug testing.
It said ignore anybody's challenge to the results of a drug test. Straight up. The DOT, you are not to be listening to any individual's challenge of their results or trying to legitimize their personal results, if at all. Just ignore them because you can't say I have the right to do this or that. It doesn't mean anything to the DOT. You are in fact not going to be employed there.
100%, 100%.
That's a big
And
directive.
and really important in light of what's happened and how many legal states do we have now. And but it's very interesting. Steve says, wow, in the land of the
Land of the
free.
free. Yeah.
So 2 dozen years ago or so, there was a challenge. Some of the East Wing employees were asked to take drug tests, and they challenged it with the court there in Washington, D.C., whatever the federal court is there, whatever circuit, Second Circuit
The
or
East
whatever
Wing
it
likes to
is.
party. Yeah, not the
Right.
West Wing.
Or
Nice.
they did at that point.
Good for them.
Uh, but I don't even think they have a building anymore. Tells you what this
They
administration thinks
burned it to
about
the
that.
ground. Yes,
Burnt
dance on the
into the
ashes.
ground. Took out the East Wing. There will be no parties.
I didn't know there was a
So
cool wing. Now there's a cool wing in my mind. So they
there used
challenged,
to
they
be.
lost.
Now it's a ballroom.
Yes.
Challenged the law on drug testing or challenged the ability
Hmm.
of their bosses to drug test them. And the court said, oh no, the only people who have to be drug tested are those whose job directly impact national security and public safety. So
DOT.
DOT not letting people use anything that's going to trigger a drug test I think we're a long ways from that.
It does
But I
make
don't,
sense, though, to say the Department of Transportation does not necessarily want their employees until there is a measurement of most certainty, not uncertainty, of how to determine intoxication, then err on the side of caution and CYA, but like it makes sense. It's not that surprising that Department of Transportation is doing this. It's not like
not,
the Department of Environmental Protection or the
but
seriously, or the school
but it
department, Department of Education.
it does bring up a huge barrier to access, and that's
Okay,
employment. So your truck driver, who's being employed by, and regulated by the Department of Transportation says no.
right,
But any company right now, any company in the United States that receives more than $100,000 in federal funding
right.
is required to have a drug-free workplace. And I'd like to spend some energy to change that law.
It's
I think that there are ways to approach that that would
yeah,
minimize the number of companies that were mandated.
yeah.
Maybe you as an owner will still want a drug test, and that's kind of libertarian. If you own the company and you want a drug test, and I want to work for you and I sign that contract, but having the government mandate it is
Right.
what I'd like to work on,
So, do you
removing
think
that
that
barrier.
with the increase in this campaign of obviously Representative Black and his, I saw people passing bongs through windows and like, and moving vehicles, which didn't go any, I mean, it went places, but it didn't make it to the finish line, right?
Good.
So,
This yet,
well, we have one
yet.
week, so a girl can hope
No, but
that
I
he
say
has no
yet
more
because
presentations because I
I've
can't
been
handle
here
it.
11 years, and if
Yeah, I know.
if District 15 sends black back, we will see it again.
Oh yeah, no, it's not the last time forever. I'm saying for this session, I
Okay,
don't think there's.
last for this month. We're not going to see anything more this month on it.
There you go. It's dead for the year. Okay, so let's hope that continues. There's been enthusiasm in the House and the Senate. There was a companion bill about open containers. We
There
see
was.
like stories from individuals that have been, obviously the aroma of cannabis is not probable cause. Stories of individuals talking about, you know, getting in trouble. Were they under the influence? People running over a bunch of kids because what 90% of car accidents are caused, there's marijuana, some astronomical
Five.
figure that they made up a
It
few
was
weeks
actually
ago.
47. It was 47.
That's crazy.
I I
Same
reached
number.
out to my friend Ethel, one of our past presidents, and we were chatting, and she said, "Well, Jodi, disclaimer, I've been smoking. I'm a little high." And I said, "Well,
Oh,
Ethel, I
oh,
haven't used
Ethel.
I haven't used cannabis all day long, and I'm a little nervous. I understand that 53% of all accidents happen when you're sober."
Well, 47%. Yeah, they do actually happen when you're sober. Yes, sober people cause more
Very
accidents
concerned.
than people that smoke weed. I can throw a bunch of weird statistics out there, but there has been an increased enthusiasm between how to measure intoxication on site, whether or not you can conduct a field sobriety test for intoxication of cannabis, which I would love to be the one that makes that test. Like, it would be like,
You'll
can you
sell a
crip
billion
walk?
of them.
You have to crip walk, then I want to see two step, and then like it's a more like a dance move that you have to do, and if you do it you're probably high, but if you can't do it you're probably sober. So
We'll
I
work
feel like
on that.
I'm gonna offer my services for that field sobriety test school, but there has been increased enthusiasm for getting people in trouble that drive and have cannabis in their system, but not necessarily the same activity at the same time. Could have been the day before, but they really want to get you in trouble for it.
They really do. And this is kind of the backlash and also ties into some of this stuff going on with the 21st Amendment. I had never looked at what regulation looked like after the passage of the 21st Amendment. It just wasn't something that I was paying attention to. I was paying attention to how they got to the 21st Amendment, not what happened afterwards. And so Stevens was here in town from Miami Beach, and helping us with the Veterans Bill and the Department of Health bill, bringing a ringer at the last minute, doing a little bit of work on the
It
beverage
was
bill,
great
which
to
we know
see
is
him.
getting
Yeah,
teed up
I
for
hadn't seen him
next
in a
year.
long time.
And anything that died this year, like we said, is already teed up for next year. So, um, but he was listening to some speakers on what was happening after we reintroduced alcohol, which is kind of where we're at right now. And he mentioned no advertising
Mhm.
at one point, the liquor and the alcohol industry. At one point, they legislated nothing but like beer and wine. Spirits were still prohibited, like
Right.
strong THC. So when people started talking about THC caps, they forget about 3-2 beer. Did you ever have 3-2 beer anywhere that you lived?
What I have no
After
idea. I have no idea what 3-2 beer is, and I wouldn't drink it if I did have it, so I wouldn't know. I would drink a cider, but I'm a whiskey gal.
it's low alcohol content beer. So it still tastes like a beer, but
And it has all the calories, so
instead of
phenomenal
having,
product.
but now we're reintroducing alcohol, right? We had the years between the 18th and the 21st Amendment. We're reintroducing alcohol. And the way they did this is they were very tight on where you could put your alcohol establishment.
Hmm.
I've never heard of that before. They were prohibiting advertising. They were making everything low alcohol content. Again, wine has a certain threshold of how much alcohol is going to be in it, but no spirits. So 3-2 beer, when I was 18 in Ohio, 18 to 21-year-olds could buy 3-2 beer
Low
and a
potency
lot
beer,
low potency beer.
entry level beer.
Starter beer. Eric said he had been listening to, and maybe Eric can put in the chat later, the name of the lady, I can't remember the doctor, and he didn't text it to me that he was listening to. Lady from maybe San Diego, talking about uh all of the different regulations, but she said because beer was 3-2, people would binge drink. They drink a bunch of them.
Right.
And so it led to some really unhealthy behavior because of being overregulated. So I thought it was fascinating. And
Well,
as Florida is
that was a difficult time because when alcohol was during prohibition of alcohol, marijuana was legal. So
100%.
I feel like alcohol ruined it for marijuana because when it became legal, they were like, well, we need to go after something else. And like, we'll do this instead. And then now marijuana is illegal. So they had somebody to dislike and go after because people love drinking whiskey and people love smoking weed. And we just had to be the bad guys for a long time. But now that's
But
over. So now we have to be
alcohol sales are down,
good.
way down.
Sorry, not
And
sorry. Total
I
Wine and
said that was
More,
kind of,
ABC.
I learned a lot last week. It was a really good week. Hi to Tara. I'm trying to catch up with, hi to Monica.
Miss McCauley is
Uh,
on and
hi
Tara's on.
Jerry.
And then I think Steve did
Jeff.
another disclaimer
Jeff
because we
wanted
want to
to
make
know.
sure we don't introduce any or endorse the activity of driving and getting high because all of these disclaimers, our show is so boring. Just don't listen to anything we say, but listen to everything that we tell you.
Oh no.
Yeah. And don't follow it. Like, don't like, we have to, what is it? Do as I say, not as I do. Yeah.
There you go.
There you
There
go.
you go.
Let's
So
talk about the ag bill.
I want to send love to the grateful veterans. I know
Yes.
they're online. We absolutely love our folks with the Grateful Veteran. And we had asked earlier in the episode if you guys are planning on being in Tallahassee. I knew that you had been invited for Tuesday, but didn't know if you were coming. So we absolutely love our grateful veterans, in case anybody missed it. And we're waiting on Tara or Jeff because Jeff said
Los
Cocos.
Cocos.
Do you know what that means?
I have no idea, but with Jeff, like I just assume it's
It's
something really
nice.
good. Yeah.
All right,
Los
Steve,
Cocos to you and yours, Jeff.
chat. That's right.
No,
I hope it was nice because right back at you, buddy.
yeah, you got yourself into a rabbit hole because everybody that joins, you have to call them out, or else they're going to be feeling left out. And so we did this to ourselves. Everyone has to be recognized.
I well,
Let
I
me
like
just say one thing
I like
about
anybody
Jeffrey
saying hi.
DeMond, though. Jeffrey
please.
DeMond and Tara and Matt, they're very photogenic group. I got to take a picture of them before we went in for session, and nice little filter on it, little artistic cropping, and it kind of looks like Tara's their attorney, and she just got them off on murder one charges with like a technicality, and so I turned it into a Chat GPT ad, and we were cracking up. But Jeff is a very he's a public figure, so people see him, they know who he is. Jeff is the only individual I know of that has ever had a representative blow him kisses from the pit of the House session. So I think I'm gonna make him a shirt or like a patch or something to just acknowledge that moment when Senator Valdez was blowing a grown man kisses in the gallery of the House during session. So, you know, I don't like snaps for, you know, being able to get a blown kiss. I've never had that in my life. I'm very jealous. And I don't think you have either. But one day, fingers
No,
crossed, I thought that was adorable.
no, I was here in the in the really hard old days, right? So
No kisses.
it took me 10 years to get to the governor's club. That was the first time I've ever had a shout out,
A recognition.
a recognition, 100%,
And
100%. So
you're
no,
distracted on your phone because I could see it on your face.
yeah, yeah. So but we were going to talk about the farm bill.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the
I'm done.
farm.
I put it down. I put it down. It's like
You can't
church. Put down
podcast
your
and
phone.
phone. You can't podcast and phone. Um, you go
Some
first.
things are really important.
Well,
Um,
share it with the
yeah, I
group.
know. I really, I really wanted you
Okay.
yeah, I wanted you to start.
All right, I'm going to start. So on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, the House Agricultural Committee
This
approved the
is
2026 Farm Bill.
U.S. House, because we
Yes,
talk a
this is,
lot about chambers.
sorry, not the Florida House. This is the big house. This is the big house. So, yeah, kind of sounds like I'm going to stick with that.
Capitol Hill.
Capitol Hill.
Capitol Hill.
Yes, so they approved the 2026 Farm Bill, a bill that we have been kind of anticipating the completion of. It should have been the 2024 Farm Bill, but it did not come. To short history lesson, the 2028 or 2018 Farm Bill that Trump on his first round in office had implemented had created an unnecessary or unrealistic loophole that some retailers were able to take advantage of to sell products, and they were trying to tighten it up, and it's taken them a while, but they approved the 2026 Farm Bill after 2 days of contentious back and forth. And I just assumed gloves were off and sleeves were rolled up, ties were undone. I'd love it to think of it like a ding ding session, like we talked about, like round one. But no, I bet it was a little bit more appropriate. They came up and
Oh.
advanced the Farm Food and National Security Act of 2026. Now, let me just start by saying, what? What? So, I mean, the farm bill would have been fine, but they couldn't find any other random industries to throw in there, like the Farm Food and Gynecology Act of 2026, Farm Food and Friendship Act of 2026. Like, it's just weird to throw national security in there when it could have just been the Farm Bill of 2026. So that's my first comment. Besides that, the second comment is what's in there and what's not. So for hemp retailers, this is important. They put the language in there about the formula to calculate the appropriate levels of THC in a product, which is THC-a times 0.877 plus delta 9. That is what we use in the lab space to determine potency across the nation, across the globe. And so they finally kind of closed that loophole to where THC-a is not a separate activity, and thus products will not be able to be sold as a THC-a hemp product. So, but they did not.
And this, no, stop for a minute. This is the loophole.
That's the loophole
You
they
said
closed.
everybody else in the universe was using one formula, and the United States
Nope. It
Farm
was just
Bill
everybody
was quiet on it.
in the test in the how to determine the potency in a cannabis or hemp product. It's always been this formula because we all know what decarboxylation is, where you ignite and you activate THC-a and turn it into the psychoactive delta-9. But in the Farm Bill, they forgot to put the word total THC. They don't have to add the formula. They could just say total would have been fine. They forgot that. And so
You don't
people
know
were
what you don't know.
using, hey, they capitalized on a opportunistic retail market. People made a lot of money. But there was a lot of, danger too, because things were not being held to the same standards as cannabis, but people made a lot of money. Like they're going to think about that as the golden years. And then, but they didn't. So the formula is included. The loophole is now officially closed. The one that was created in 2018 has been officially closed. But what they did not do, although two different representatives have been pushing for an extension to what they call the hemp ban, on products, they actually left that language in. There's no carve out for additional time for hemp retailers to sell products. They're addressing the loophole and they're keeping that language for November. Dun,
So
dun.
dun dun dun, and a lot of people are spending a lot of energy lobbying Congress right now to put in standalone language, make other amendments. I don't think it's funny that they did farm food and national security.
Why would you
I,
put
I,
national security in a farm bill?
well, because food is part of national security.
All right, you're gonna have to sell me on this one.
A
The
hundred
Farm Bill of
percent.
2018 was called the agricultural.
I gotcha, but times change. So
Well, we are
uh,
at war.
we are 100% at war, and resources. Tampa Bay, I did want to let everybody in the Tampa Bay area remind them that they're under water shortage. They're being asked, Tampa is being asked to conserve water. They can only water their grass once a
Bring it
week.
back in for national
I
security. I
will,
want this. I want
but
this. I need it.
please. So after the Twin Towers and when we went to war on Iraq, Florida Cannabis Action Network put together program, and we went to colleges all over the state of Florida. We did it in the environmental space, and it was elements of a sustainable community. What do you need for us to sustain your community? So if we became isolated, what would you need for your community to continue to thrive?
Zombie
And
apocalypse style?
not necessarily, maybe. But you've got to have clean water. You've
Right?
got to have fresh air. You have to have food. You have to have access to health care.
Obviously,
And
shelter. These are the necessities of life.
100%. And you have to have commerce. And our presentation talked about water remediation using cannabis hemp. We talked about how you can stop cutting down acres of trees if you start growing hemp. So now we're, remediating the air.
We fix
Uh,
everything.
we're we're growing cannabis. So if we're growing cannabis, we have access to seed, which of course is a nutrition. And so now we're talking about having a food. It has a commercial value, and you can make medicine out of it. So hemp's role
I
in a
follow.
sustainable community. So when you think about that, if you have to feed 8 billion people, food's important. And your
I don't
farms,
care about the food part. I
it's
care
all
about the
national.
national security part.
Well,
It doesn't make sense to throw that one in there when last time it
if
was called
you
the
can't,
Agricultural Improvement Act of
uh,
2018. And
if
now they're
you
like,
can't feed your people,
right.
you are not a secure nation.
Okay. So we could deep dive this, mother, because to say that like there's a very big majority of people that are under the poverty line that can barely feed themselves, and we don't do very good by them. We don't do bad, but we don't do good, if I could quote the president or whatever. But I'm just saying, we just do good. I don't understand why national security was thrown in there. It kind of felt like that was strategic with all of the ICE stuff going on. And it didn't need to, it could have just been the Agricultural Improvement Act of 2026, and then they could have just kept the same papers
Could have
and
been.
headers and just swapped out the numbers. But this seemed a
So
little brash or
did you dig
broad.
into, did you dig into what it's actually doing with him?
No, I just looked
Okay.
at what it was talking about with the hemp industry as far as adding the formula and not doing a carve out for the timeline, which are
Right.
just two pieces of bad news for the hemp retail space, but not for people
100%.
that were looking for that loophole to be closed. Oren was very good at correcting me a few weeks ago when I said the hemp ban. He's like, it's not a ban, it's closing a loophole and
100%.
righting a wrong. And I agree with him 100%. And I did correct myself that yes, it is fixing the F up. Hey, I didn't say the word and I already did a disclaimer. So fixing what we messed up that was it took this long to fix. So I just don't know why the national security part was there. I gotta dig in, but the part that's relevant to the show, unfortunately, is not the best news.
Well, and see, I think that the work that we're doing to build the industrial side,
I love
again,
industrial hemp.
Hemp's
My
role in a
grinder's made out
sustainable
of hemp.
community.
My
That's
dad
it.
has a hemp shirt that he tells everyone is made out of hemp, even if you don't ask. He's like, my t-shirt's
And
made of
Bill
hemp.
McCulley just said that food is on the top of national security. You
Right.
have to
But
be able
like,
to feed people.
why didn't we ever have it in the past on like the
Oh,
last one?
the focus, there's a different focus. I mean, we are at war on a number of fronts and the environment's changing, protecting agricultural land, a lot of agricultural land. I mean, here in Florida, we're doing everything we can to buy agricultural land so that we can maintain green space, we can maintain agriculture.
Shouldn't
So
we have put that in like the previous bills? If
100%. And probably, well, and 100 years ago,
perhaps.
everybody grew their own food. And when people grew their own food, you didn't have supply chains in place the same way with food. I mean, there were trade routes all over the world because you don't grow every spice in every area, right?
And because all the
Uh,
hipster kids keep eating up all the avocado toast. And so now we have a problem.
can't get a good
I
avocado.
know where stuff sources from. I know who caused this problem.
Florida
Hipsters.
was a battleground during the Civil War because we had salt flats, and they were fighting over access to the salt flats, and some of
See,
the teams loving them some avocado toast.
those who
I
know, they
confess,
know
me
avocado costs
too.
extra and they know
I'm
that. So
telling you, I'm
the cost
telling you.
runs deep.
So the other story that I was kind of paying attention to this week was this new, and I love research, right? I love all of the new study says. And so there is a new study out that they are tangentially linking. So it's not really causal, but they're seeing a pattern, which is always exactly,
Oh yeah.
which thank you. See, it has a
I caught
place.
it. I caught it. Yep.
It has a place. They're tangentially linking these causation between depression and anxiety and cannabis use.
No. No.
100%.
Bullshit. There's no
So
way.
you
There's no
you
way.
are not anxious and depressed
You
because,
just have a
well,
lack of cannabis.
food, no, you have too much cannabis. So it's not
Oh,
food, it's not war, it's not stock markets dropping, it's not
I'm sorry.
the rest of the universe. Your anxiety,
Is because of cannabis.
ding, 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 ding,
But
ding.
I had
To the
anxiety before
new
I became a patient. So I wasn't using
100%.
cannabis. So how could I have too much if I that sounds like a yeah, that sounds like a bot study if I've ever heard one. That also
Don't you
sounds
let
like
it.
it
It's
was
out there.
okay, who did the study and was it Fisher
100%.
Price? Because I don't understand if I was not a cannabis user and I had severe anxiety after a very, very traumatic car accident where I was almost decapitated. It's about 2 inches from my neck, the hood of the car. I got hit by a school bus. So I was very traumatized, and I had severe anxiety. I would get panic attacks randomly at work. I was not a good worker. I would spill things. So they put me on medication, and then I had to take the medication, or else if I stopped, I could die, which
That's
they
what they
didn't tell
say
me
about
that part.
medication.
Exactly. Well, the benzodiazepines, I didn't know that, but I
Do
did
not
as I
stop
was
them
told.
suddenly. Wean
Right.
off of them.
Well, they
Right.
didn't tell me that. So when I became a patient, because I didn't want to be on medication every single
Uh,
day, I was like, I'll just substitute medication for cannabis. Now, I could have died, but I didn't. And then I became a cannabis patient. So how did I have anxiety when I wasn't a cannabis patient before? If you say it's only so depression is also caused by too much cannabis.
apparently, according to the new study.
So when I
Yeah.
smoke and if I'm too happy, is that an adverse
I'm like,
reaction?
I smoke, therefore I am.
Sam did this. Sam Fisher Price
100%.
and the other ones all did a
100%.
study.
100%. Scary stuff. It's scary stuff. There was a public hearing in North Carolina where a doctor got up and said, I've never met a doctor who said that cannabis was good for everything. Yes, Barry Gordon, I did just say that. I said, well, that's the difference between Duke and Harvard. The doctors at Harvard know cannabis is medicine. But yeah, doctors are out there right now saying that they don't believe that marijuana treats anything. And these are doctors and people that are in high places.
Oh, yeah, but
So
doctors also used to smoke in their room while they were doing their exams. So it's not to say that they are all knowing forever and ever. I Have you seen the show The Pit? The Pit?
I have not
Okay.
seen it, but I know
It's
it, I
very
know of it.
ER
Sure.
forward
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
90s. And so I was watching an episode last night and I was like, these kids are babies. Like these can't be doctors. And they're like in their, I mean, seriously, they're in their 20s and they are actively practicing medicine on this show. And I'm like, there's no way these are doctors. I feel like you shouldn't get the title until you have the experience of like multiple crazy situations. You have to like deliver a baby and then you have to like cure something. Or I don't know, but just to finish school and be
Please
thrown
do
into the
something.
situations where they find babies in bathrooms and there's like random stuff. Obviously, it's for drama, but just because you have PhD or a doctor now, Dr. Barry Gordon is all knowing. Okay, we know that. Hallowed be thy
Careful
name.
from
Okay, he is
a
excluded. He is excluded because and Dr. Davis, there's a lot of good doctors, but
lot
it
of
does
good
not
doctors.
mean that they know everything about everything because they have the PhD after their name. I don't know
MD in
everything
this
about
case.
everything. You don't. You know most
I
things about some things.
I know a lot about a thing.
Yeah, see? But like you can't just say I know that this is no, that
You're
the
not good with
most
that.
dangerous thing about cannabis is getting caught with it, right?
100%. 100%. And
Bill Murray,
I, I've been thinking
doctor,
about this.
PhD, Bill Murray.
We have moved entirely. I think we're in a very awkward time right
Yeah.
now. And I liked it better in the 90s because in the 90s, I did. And
Oh, I
I'm
can't
someone
wait
who
to hear
knows
this.
it was easier. In the 90s, I would say to you, so what we know about cannabis is that if you use it, it's gonna help the way you sleep.
Facts.
And if you use cannabis, it's going to increase your appetite.
Oh, facts. Yes.
And the part of the joy of cannabis is that it might help you forget your trauma a little bit,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Even if it's just for a minute. So
I
it
mean,
helps you
forget your
forget.
stressors. Absolutely. Facts. Yeah. I believe
And
it.
since the 1960s, we've known that there is a neuroprotectant. And in the 1990s, the federal government got a patent on cannabis as a neuroprotectant. So cannabis is definitely protecting you at the cellular level. So it's helping you sleep, it's helping you eat. It is helping you to forget the worst
Right.
of the traumas, or at least
To
put
cope.
them in better perspective.
Mhm.
And neurologically, at the cellular level, it is protecting you. But the one thing, the most important thing, is that we don't want anybody to ever go to jail
Right.
for using this plant. And that was all we had. It
Everything
was
you
so
said
simple.
is reasonable. You did not make a medical claim that anything was being cured, right? You did not say that cannabis cured anything. You said it could help you sleep. It could help you with this. You never said it was going to cure you of your insomnia. It was going to cure
Very
you of your
simple.
trauma. No, you were saying these are broad terms, broad
And it's
strokes,
gonna
broad
benefit
ideas.
you, and you should, and
100%.
no one should go to jail for that.
That's the one idea that is a fact, that is a definitive and like statement, declarative statement.
So
Nobody should go to jail for
simple.
weed. Now,
So
why
simple.
was it easier back then living by 5 different things like that and still being able to be worried about jail because people were going a lot more often back then.
We didn't have to get into the weeds about does it help for this condition and not that condition? Should it be recommended for this? Everybody's use was illegal, and we were just trying to make that use legal. And today there are so many interests
Yes,
that are, and the one guy says, no, my cannabis is better for PTSD than your cannabis is. Or I have, we got the low THC cannabis in Florida because
you're
Charlotte's
saying
Web.
that cannabis progress has been almost its decline because the more cooks in the kitchen, they have caused more headaches for the industry. Whereas before, when not everybody wanted to play with it, and we all knew it was illegal taking the risk, we all got along on that side just fine. And everybody was, until everybody wanted to have it and make it legal, they kind of ruined it for everybody else.
So I don't know how much of last week's show you were able to watch. You were
0 to
busy last
none.
week and we missed you.
I
Uh,
apologize. I was in the car.
Josephine talked about, we were at the Alternative Beverage Conference.
Yes.
Steve and Matt with Baked. Lots of love for them. We're gonna see more of them. Attended this alt beverage conference, and Josephine walks past one of and Josephine's on our board. Love Josephine. Hearts. How do you do that? Hearts. You do that well.
You could do like
Uh,
half of it and just put it next to the screen.
no, probably not. No, I'm not
Okay.
that
Just
talented. Nope,
practice.
can't do it. There we go.
What did,
Maybe.
no
No,
idea. What Josephine
it's too
said.
late. Missed that one. So she was hawked by one of the vendors who had his display of alternate cannabis THC infused beverages. And he asked how she was, and she said, excellent.
Everything she says.
And he said,
Amazing.
well, I'm more excellent than you are. Well, of course, Josephine being Josephine had to inquire, so what's going on with you that you're more excellent than I am? And he
Great.
whipped out his THC beverage and said, I've been drinking these.
He sounds like the
And
worst magician ever. I
would
don't
you like
like
one?
him.
Would you like one? Oh, you're not
No,
going to
the
like it
answer
at
is
all. Here in a
no. I
second.
need an
Wait.
adult.
So, so she says, I'm more of a cannabis flower kind of girl.
And she
God
is.
love Josephine.
She is.
So the guy says, oh, I don't do cannabis. I just use THC.
Did she punch him in the throat and tell him, don't come around the big kids, stay at home next time?
No,
What a,
no. I asked her, I said, well, what in the world did you say? So, well, I said, thank you. Have a great day.
yeah,
I
stay away
said,
from him. He has a
I
kid
said,
or
you didn't
somebody
say,
chained to a
you
pipe in
didn't
a crawl
say,
space.
don't you know that? She said, no. I'd have said, because I knew exactly how it would have gone. I would have said, well, THC comes from cannabis. And he would have said, well, this didn't come from cannabis. This came from hemp.
And you raised your hand
Hemp.
inadvertently by
Gonna put it down.
showcasing with your hands. You're a hand talker, but that guy
I will.
needs to be
Crazy.
blocked from participation with grown-ups and big kids and events like that because that's embarrassing. If he's telling her that, he's telling everybody that. And you're
100%.
trying to separate the two things. I heard through the grapevine that the Alt-Bev conference was kind of filled with a lot of misinformation. Am I wrong?
Well, my information, every bit, I
Not
cannot
not
say that.
FLCAN. I'm saying from individuals, some retailers, some panelists. Some people were not very well versed in how to educate the public on the products that they were advertising, retailing, or attempting to sell, wanting to distribute. And that could be very dangerous.
But I only see, I think they were perfectly educated. So I would disagree with that.
Except for the
Uh,
guy, the magic can guy.
but that's what this is THC from him. He would have said that. the fact that
He
nobody
said he
has
doesn't
told him
smoke THC. He just
the
drinks. Okay.
but he doesn't use cannabis. He gets hemp-derived THC, and the fact that he doesn't know that it's all one plant. Your wine salesman may know whatever 12 words the marketing department told him to say about the wine, and that's all he knows. And surprisingly enough, the two girls in with angel wings that
Not
were
there
like
for educational purposes. If they
seven
drink
foot
litter
no
and barely nothing wearing angel wings, I'm going to say they
seven
were
foot
hired home.
7 foot tall blondes with angel wings that went out, I don't know, 4 feet on
Yep.
either side of their body.
Hey, they're working through broadcast journalism school. Let them do them. And yeah, they probably know a lot.
And there was not one can manufacturer in there, and I wanted to know about the lining in the can.
Okay.
And it's a can manufacturer who knows that, not the sales guy for pick your
So
favorite
do
beverage.
you
So
think that
I
salespeople had the correct information to spit out to make good sales to the populations? Because I don't think it's very good if he's like, oh, no, 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 I don't smoke cannabis. I drink
I don't use
hemp-derived
cannabis.
THC. Or yeah, I
I
don't.
use THC.
I
Um,
don't know if I could have held myself back long enough not to do something that would have made it onto YouTube or like the news.
so is it going to, so the question we started to ask when we realized what they were saying is how are you handling the employment issue? And, to circle back to where we started, the Federal Employment Act is really relevant and probably more relevant than it has ever been because there will be a beverage carved out sooner or later.
How about this? Let me ask you a question. You're smart. Um, can you drink a hemp-derived THC product and pass a drug test?
Not tomorrow.
Never. Because
Well, maybe in 60 days,
no, I'm
but I
saying
can't drink
okay,
it.
okay, you're saying if I drink it today in 60 days and
I can
you
pass
weren't
it.
Jody
Yes.
James, you weren't
I do
Jody
not take
James.
checks,
Okay. So if
but
you were that kid,
100% it's going to trigger a
right.
THC positive drug test.
So the more
It
that you
is
try and
not legal.
separate that this isn't that, the more misinformation you're going to give people, and they will have this false sense of security that if I drink this, it's not weed because it's hemp derived THC. That's a different thing. And then they go and they fail a drug test, they lose their freedom, their kids, their job. Come on. Like that kid is a liability, and I would not hire him.
Did you like the way we circled that back around, though, to the
Full
fact that the
circle.
Trump administration just put out something through the transportation guidelines?
Inadvertent circle, but well done.
It wasn't inadvertent at all.
I didn't know I was doing it until I did it.
Oh,
So
well, it's great.
accidental.
Well, and that's why going up to your boss and saying, "Well, I didn't know that the drink I got at the bar."
Do you think he's going to say, oh, well, mistakes are mistakes. Get back to work, Scott, or whatever your name is, kid.
Not after,
Nobody's
not if
going
you
to
work in
care.
transportation or national security.
Right. They're not going to care about the excuse. They're going to care about the results. And until the test
100%.
can separate what people believe is a safe, reasonable product that stays in your system that actually could get you in a lot of trouble, until you can separate those two, which we're not there in testing, it will always be a positive for the one thing you don't want it to be. So err on
100%.
the side of caution, and also
100%.
educate your team members to tell the public the truth.
100%. Well, 100%. You can't blame a salesman for not knowing what a salesman doesn't know. You can blame the company for not teaching them the right information.
I'm still going
100%.
to blame this kid. I already have a bad taste in
Okay.
my mouth for him, and Josephine is way more classy than I am. I would have probably, I'm glad I wasn't there, but
Yeah.
next time, next year,
Well, she said I've just had that conversation one too many
so many
times.
times, so many times. She's
So,
right.
and I want to make sure that as we wrap up, that people remember we want to move forward in the areas that are going to make it easy for people to have safe legal access. We want to continue to protect our state legal constitutionally protected program.
Love that.
I do too. I
I
do
got to put that
too.
all on a shirt for you. Constitutionally
if you are
protected
in the
state legal
villages,
cannabis.
if you are in the villages this Tuesday, Carla Ashburn is going to be speaking. If you are not on our email list, go to flcan.org/join, JOIN, and you can get on our mailing list. So get on our mailing list. If you give us your zip code and you're in the villages, you'll get a couple announcements about where everything is going to be. But they have a medical marijuana club in the villages, so you can explore that a little bit as
Nothing
well.
surprises me about the villages. That's all I'm gonna
Hey,
say.
I love these local enthusiastic
Loofah
gatherings.
loving folk. They are my
Love
people and good for them.
100%. Well, and the community that the Johnsons have built around high society in Jacksonville, you've missed
Allison
the
Mount.
last 2 times I went up. Maybe I'll get you to go with me one of these times. A couple times a month, depending on whether you're in Duval or Clay County, but in the general area. Tuesday, wrapping up Tuesday, if you can get to Tallahassee noon on the Senate patio. Follow up with Florida Can online and we can get you some directions. Follow GI Green.
Wear your Sunday best.
If you're planning on going inside the building, absolutely
have a
wear your
clever
Sunday
sign.
best. Or have a clever sign and stay outside. Absolutely. So that's what I got. Thanks to our new members. I guess the last article I had written down was there is a frightening outlook for Florida's cannabis market.
I did
Dun,
read
dun,
something
dun.
similar that about sales in Florida. What did you see? Same
Same
thing?
thing. Sales are down. The marketplace is not enough dispensaries according to DOH, but saturated according to Cannabis Futures. So
I
very
did see
interesting.
that. It was like very minimal market changes, which could equate to a variety of things. And also the THC-a elimination might actually spike our market, but we won't know. And then
And put
I think it's going to get worse.
10,000 people out of business, 10,000 people without jobs, but your marijuana stock will go up.
And well, I think there were some pretty strong firings with some MMTCs recently too that have kind of drawn the attention of the media. But we are a roller coaster of fun in the cannabis space, are we not?
Which means we'll have more to talk about next week.
Ups and downs, can't wait.
If you're still curious about what's up with Smart and Safe, make sure you get on flcan.org. That's our website where you can read a blog by Hector Roos. If you're a member, the newsletter's in your inbox and you've got a link there. See you next week, Cynthia.
Bye, Jodi.
Imagine standing shoulder to shoulder with hundreds of Floridians, business owners, and advocates inside the state capitol, ready to make real change. That's what Cannabis at the Capitol is all about. The signature Lobby Day and Education Expo from the Florida Cannabis Action Network, where voices intersect with policy and passion turns into progress. For just $50 for individuals, you'll gain access to expert briefings, self-guided meetings with lawmakers, and the power to influence Florida's cannabis future. For businesses, $300 unlocks premium access. Connect with decision makers, showcase your enterprise, and build alliances in a fast-growing sector. Whether you're a medical patient seeking stronger access, an entrepreneur navigating regulations, or a company ready to stand at the forefront of industry change, this is your platform. One day in Tallahassee could shift a lifetime of regulation. Join us. Be present. Be heard. Be the change at Cannabis at the Capitol.